Today, Caitlin and I are going to be talking about how you're sabotaging your own progress by skipping the workouts on the weekends. If this is your first time joining us, I'm Matt Bauer. My wife, Caitlin, and I own Red Wolf CrossFit in Huntington Beach, California. And we started this podcast with one goal in mind, and that was to make fitness education accessible, engaging, and effective for everyone. So today, Caitlin and I have actually been wanting to talk about this for a while. And this is something that we hold this is a very strong belief on, which is you should not be skipping workouts on the weekends. We've kind of covered this with our nutrition as well, that if you go 5 days really well with your nutrition, but you sabotage yourself on the weekends, that's a 71%, right? So that's a C- when it comes to nutrition. So today we're going to be talking about specifically working out on the weekends. So Caitlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you back. We haven't had you on in a while. So let's chat.
Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk about how just an observation I've kind of made over, the last, I guess, few months. It's really kind of hit me hard that I think those in the gym who see little to no progress most likely do not work out on the weekends. And, they probably come Monday through Friday and they think, oh, I need some rest days, or, I need those days off from work and everything else that I do during the week. But I really think that's something that holds people back, because it just kind of creates a snowball effect towards your health and your fitness. And that's just really holds people back for a really long time.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, let's kind of dive into, let's just talk about how fitness is all about consistency in the first place. And I find that when I take 2 days off straight, that the first day back, I'll feel like I'm not completely restarting, but I feel almost at 50%.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody always makes the comment of, oh, why is it so much harder after I take a few days off? And you hear that a lot. I just think it's just a mindset of kind of like you need recovery time. Everybody talks about recovery as being really important, and it is, but we can't afford that anymore in our society because it's just, we're so sedentary. And when it comes to having a good routine, you have to really dive in and keep it consistent Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring that up, because Jason Grubb, who dropped in at our gym the day after he competed in Wadapalooza. If you don't know who he is, he won the CrossFit Games Masters, one of the Masters divisions at the CrossFit Games. Super nice guy. He dropped in the next day, and I go, Jason, aren't you tired? And he goes, honestly, well, he's like, first off, he did the team. So he's like, I'm not that beat up as if I did individual. But he also said, he's like, I feel worse when I do nothing. Mm-hmm. He's like, I have to move around. I have to do something, and I have to keep that momentum going. And I'm kind of the same way. Like once I kind of get into a rut, I kind of stay into a rut. And then once I'm, going strong, it's like, it's really easy for me to keep going strong. It's like Newton's laws of physics. It's like a motion, whatever is in motion will stay in motion.
Yeah.
So that's why I try and do something active every day, at least taking a small step forward in terms of my fitness.
Yeah, I definitely would rather be sore from movement than from not moving at all, right? And so it's you can pick either one. You can either keep moving and kind of be sore from that, or just be sore from not moving and being stiff and tired and then getting worse from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about how the weekend workouts reinforce positive habits.
Yeah. So like I said before, when you have that consistency of working out, you're more likely to make good choices after. And I'm talking about making choices as, am I going to drink this weekend, or am I going to eat junk food? And am I going to eat pizza and go out with my friends and do like things that you don't do during the week, right? Because during the week, you have a routine, you eat your meal prep, you drink all this water, and then you completely lose it on the weekend because you have a whole cheat day. And I'm a big person talking about maybe having a cheat meal, but not completely blowing the day out of the water. And it first starts with like a workout in the morning. And specifically in the morning, I think that's really important too, is to get it done early, and then you're more likely to make good choices thereafter. If you save it for later on in the afternoon, you honestly more likely than not will not work out.
Yeah.
And things will come up, and then you kind of keep spiraling at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do find that my activity is much lower on the weekends as well. So when my activity is lower, I don't have, like, again, that momentum. Like, I don't have the blood flow going and everything. Mm-hmm. So when I do work out on the weekends, I feel like even if I do make some bad choices, at least I worked out.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah.
At least I burned like an extra 500 calories that day. So I can kind of afford to have like something that's somewhat 500 calories. I don't count it, but let's be real. But it makes me feel less guilty when I do, enjoy myself over the weekend, because at least I was productive and taking towards my health.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I have that momentum. It's more of like a mental thing going into Monday, rather than being, kind of like, oh my God, it's Monday. I'm not moving as well. I don't feel as limber.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like when I have the blood flow going constantly, at least once a day, that next day, it's like I feel like, okay, I'm ready to go again. Like it keeps me primed, I should say.
For sure. I think someone who doesn't work out on the weekends probably has the mindset of, they do fad diets. They're constantly ping-ponging different fitness routines. They're more likely than not somebody who kind of doesn't get 10,000 steps a day. Like there's all these other little key traits that I see of people who don't work out on the weekend that really stand out. And I'm like, man, these are such easy changes just by simply, going to class, like having a gym to go to where there is a class, a structured class, something you can't kind of, skip or cherry pick or anything like that. You just go, you show up, you move. And, I'm not talking about being super intense 7 days a week, right? If you are following a good program, that should have a few days where you can go lighter, or honestly, you need to be an adult and make that choice to go lighter and be okay with it, instead of always following peer pressure to, going hard. Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of where I think people have a hard time figuring that out. And it's something that you learn as you do more fitness, right? The more you do it, the better you're going to get.
Right. And this is why we also strategically have earlier kind of a schedule for our gym in general, is because it kind of like eliminates any excuses. Because it's one thing to work out like 10 or 11 a.m. because like there's probably something already going on, or you're getting ready to do something for throughout your day. Whereas if you work out at 7 on like a Saturday or 8 a.m. on a Sunday, there's not much holding you back from that.
Yep.
And you can hit one or the other usually. Like for the most part, we don't see everyone come on Saturday and Sunday. It's usually one or the other.
Yeah, and like Matt said, having it earlier also probably reinforces the fact that you made good decisions the night before. You didn't stay up late. You got enough sleep.
Yeah,
you probably ate well, and you probably didn't drink a lot because you knew you had to wake up early the next day to work out. All of these little things is honestly what it takes in order to get to whatever goal you're trying to achieve. I don't care if you're trying to lose 50 pounds or if you're trying to gain muscle, if you're trying to maintain whatever. These are like the habits that you see of successful people when they're trying to reach a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a quick pause here. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for listening to the podcast. So many of you have recently come up and told me in person and told me that you even left a review, and then specifically told me what you like about the previous podcast, and that means a ton to me and Caitlin as well, and all the guests that we have on. So do me a favor and please share this with a friend. We'd love to keep spreading the word out there, because every time we see the listener numbers go up or the followers go up, it keeps us motivated to keep bringing you all of our knowledge, and we want to keep this free and we want to keep it helpful. Let's move on to metabolism and calorie burn. So consistent workouts obviously keep your metabolism active, and it keeps you burning calories. So especially on the weekends, like we said earlier, when you're doing it earlier in the day, that's going to help your metabolism throughout the day. So if you do want to make a quote unquote unhealthy choice, at least your metabolism has already been revved up for it.
Yeah, and specifically, we know that weightlifting is something that's going to keep your metabolism high throughout the day and burning calories long term versus cardio, right? And that 1 hour window, keeps you in a fat burning state, basically. And it just keeps, like we talked about, like the momentum going internally. So we're talking about just like all of our recovery process and burning and, building new muscle mass, like that all takes time. And when you have that consistency going, your body is more likely to level out. I really find that people who are super inconsistent in the gym, and I'm talking about like always less than 10 workouts a month. Some people less than 5 workouts a month. You're constantly restarting and trying to restart the engine of a car, okay? And it's just always puttering, and you're just like never moving forward. And if that's you, I highly advise you to be more consistent at just showing up, right? Don't worry about how hard the workout was or if you worked on anything specific. You need to be more mindful about just showing up for an hour every single day and trying to get your body into a more balanced metabolic state.
Exactly. And then from there, even if you don't have a quote unquote good workout or quote unquote hard workout, or maybe you take it easier, that's not always what you're building. You're building the skill of showing up on every day, because a lot of people think that like, oh, the workout has to be super productive if I show up, or it has to be super hard. I need to be sweating, I need to be on the ground. That's not necessarily the case, because you're reinforcing the habit over and over again. So you're building more than just your fitness and your health, is that you're building a skill that will also transfer into other realms of life, of just showing up regardless of how you feel. And that's a very powerful skill to have. And that's something that fitness has taught me personally, and has helped me in all aspects of my life, both in business, family, relationships. When you show up and you honor your commitments, and you realize how much that actually benefits you in the long term, it's like that feedback loop gets reinforced.
Yeah, I mean,
in a positive way.
I think I shared with you the other, Layla Hormozi and Alex Hormozi, right? They put her motto is F your feelings, follow the plan, right? And that is so true. Like, people cannot be so tied up in how they feel, or if they're tired, or if there's this. Like, you have to stick to the plan. And the plan is every day you have 1 hour dedicated to fitness.
Yeah.
And whether that be 1 hour of walking or 1 hour in the gym, but there has to be it done every day. I do not think there's a single person out there who needs a rest day. We just don't move enough. Like, unless you are like, okay, Min, that is the only person who I would say right now, Min, you need a rest day. Like, because
he doesn't show up all the time, which is great.
He runs like a marathon a week. Okay. Like, so if you are doing that, yes, you deserve a rest day. The rest of us, we really don't need it. We just need lighter workouts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you brought up, but like, F your mood, follow the plan, because on that same concept, I heard recently in another podcast I was listening to, the speaker was talking about the exact same thing. And they mentioned that, they actually take like beliefs or feelings out of their vocabulary, and the only thing they focus on is what they can observe and activities.
Yeah.
It's like, so I can observe that if I do this activity, that will yield a specific outcome. So that's the only thing I focus on. I don't let my mood or my beliefs, anything. It's like, just focus on the activity itself.
What's in your control?
Well, yeah, I just focus on the activity, not how I feel. Because at the end of the day, I want a specific outcome, so it doesn't really matter how I feel.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
Let's talk about, so we talked about the metabolism, calorie burn. Let's move on to, talk about the sedentary lifestyle. Do you want to talk about that more?
Yeah, well, just really quick. And I thought this was very interesting. I saw it broken down on Instagram by someone I follow, and just talking about you burn more calories simply by just walking than sitting. But specifically, I found that you burn 2.5 more times the calories per kilogram of body weight than versus sitting versus walking. So, I mean, since we got the assault runners, and I've been walking on them more, and I'm seeing the monitor, right? And I'm seeing all the calories burned, and I'm like, wow, like, it's amazing how just simple movement can build up, not only just cardiovascular health, but like get your steps in and all these things. And for me, I get 20,000 steps a day, right? I'm always on my feet. I pretty much stand from 4 a.m. in the morning until 8 p.m. at night. And so I'm not somebody who's concerned with, not being sedentary. I'm always standing. But when I think about people who work at home or work in an office job, it's amazing to me that you only get 1,000 to 2,000 steps. And my God, we have to go outside. I mean, you have to get some steps in. And if you can't go outside and go walking, then you have to go to a gym, and you have to get in the gym, and you have to move a lot.
Yeah.
And make sure there is a lot of movement for 1 hour, because like always, we overestimate how many calories we're actually burning. And then we overeat, and overcompensation is always there. So more movement and every day.
Yeah. It's like the average American only gets maybe 5,000 steps a day?
No, less. Yeah. I mean, I've been talking to more and more people. I'm like, really? Like that? Are you sure? Are you sure your watch is working?
Yeah. I mean, if you get that little steps during the week, imagine how much less you're getting actually during the weekend.
Exactly. Like, and maybe some people are like, oh, well, I'll go for a hike and I'll do this. But more likely than not, if you are inconsistent in fitness in general, you're going to find fitness as more of a reward base. Okay. So you're going to work out and you're going to try to reward yourself with food or something like, oh, I deserve this because I worked out today, where it can't be a reward system, right? It has to be just no, I did this in order to make better decisions, in order to keep the routine, and everything else. Like, we need to eat for fuel, not eat for reward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about why, like, the main reason why people can't afford to take a day off in general. Let's kind of dig into that a little bit more.
Oh, we can, because we're just so sedentary. I mean, we back in the day, we used to be, farmers, laborers. Like, you had to do a physical job. But now, more often than not, people don't do any physical jobs. It's very rare. And if they do a physical job, they use that as an excuse of why they don't work out, because they're like, oh, well, my job is already physical enough. And I'm going to have to go out and say it. You probably make very poor decisions food-wise, and you're actually not as healthy as you think, right? Everybody needs fitness. Everybody needs it just for simple bone density. I mean, to keep your bones strong, right? We're talking about longevity, fitness, not just aesthetics all the time, but we're talking about some building up that foundation so that later on in life, you aren't, super overweight or crippled or weak hips, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, one thing I noticed is that, people blame their metabolism as they get older, but you also have to make an observation that when you were in your early 20s, you probably worked a job that wasn't more sedentary. Yeah, you were probably more physical. You probably worked in a restaurant or something, or had a job where you were moving around a lot. And then as you ascended up the ladder in your career, it became more of a desk job.
Yep.
Or you start applying. And then usually jobs that, adults have, especially 30 plus, they're not as physical. I mean, I'm just making a blanket statement, but most people are. So you're not as active as you were.
Yeah.
And also when you are at that younger stage, you are going out more and like playing sports, and you don't have kids or other responsibilities. You're less stressed.
So I mean, that in itself, the stress, right? As you get older, their cortisol is so high, like you need to work out in order to relieve some of that, and that's kind of what causes your metabolism. It's a snowball effect, right? Your hormones are high, and then you have snowball effect of hitting your metabolism, and then
cortisol is a fat storage hormone as well.
And so everything blends together, and that's why I made the opinion of, I think people who purposely take weekends off as their rest days are never going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, let's talk a little bit about the difference between weekend warriors versus consistent movers. What are your observations with people like that?
Well, I think weekend warriors, I would define as, people who kind of go hard all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's fine if you're capable of doing that and it's not really affecting your stress hormones or anything like that. If you can afford to go hard all the time, awesome. Like, props to you. That would be a weekend warrior, in my opinion. A consistent mover would be somebody who identifies, needing to have certain days where it's lighter, but they're gonna come in and still do the workout. I do have a lot of members who are very aware of their abilities, and they're like, some days they're able to go really hard, and then other days they're like, no, I'm just here to move. And so that's kind of how I guess I would differentiate what a weekend warrior is versus a consistent mover.
Right. Okay. No, that's really helpful. And then let's talk about how we can actually maximize progress moving forward. So, we know that real progress comes from, being consistent every day, including the weekends. But let's talk about how we can build a healthier mindset and routine that actually builds long-term success to get people actually in the door on the weekends as well, regardless of whatever excuse they have.
Finding a gym that has morning classes for sure. I don't think weekends is for, unless you're really disciplined, I don't think weekends is for a late class or for you to try to do something on your own. Having structure is super important. That's kind of what gets you through, and having a community to hold you accountable as well. I mean, at our gym, I do try to do some weekend events to kind of keep people motivated and always looking towards the next thing. So for example, this month, we're going to have like a 5K run, a zombie run, since it is Halloween themed. And then we're also having, it's called Power Hour, and it's kind of like a workout event that we have on the weekend. And I try to entice people to come into these things in order to keep them motivated during the week and prepare, and then have these events. And that's kind of what I think works best long term for any working busy adult, right?
Right.
You, take the thinking out of it. Join a gym that kind of structures you to be in a routine through the week and through the weekend, and that's where you're going to see the most progress.
Yeah. Let's kind of talk about how you and I work out on the weekends and kind of like, because I mean, you and I both have been, have had great workouts on the weekends and terrible workouts on the weekends that were not productive. I personally, like when I go in there, because, most of the time, like I'm either with the kids on the weekends, taking them somewhere, or I'm coaching in the morning, so I can't really hit a class. So I'll usually try and hit something later in the day. And I will say there's a significant difference between when I'm by myself, even though I have all the equipment, I have a workout that's pre-planned for me, but I'm in there by myself. It's really easy for me to be not unproductive, but let's just say it takes me a while. So that's why I rely so much on the structure of the class as well. It's really hard for me in general to work out by myself anymore. Like I've been doing CrossFit now for 17, 18 years and been in fitness for over 20. And it's over time, it's like you need, in order to keep that consistency going and in order to keep your momentum going, you need almost like some sort of external structure with other people around, just in my opinion. Other people are different, I'm sure, but I'm just talking about me, right? What makes me successful.
Yeah, I think we go in phases. There are times where I work out on the weekends by myself. I work out by myself pretty much all the time. On Saturdays, I might be able to take a class, and I really, really look forward to that because having other people around suffering with me is so much better than by myself.
Yeah.
And I do have the best workouts when I'm in class, 100%. But there are times where I go through phases of working out alone that I have great workouts. And I'm going to tell you, it's always in the morning. It will always be early, before noon. Honestly, usually 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I work out. But if I work out in the afternoon, it will always be crap.
Yeah.
Like 100%, no matter how I feel, because I've gone through so much of the day already. My battery is pretty drained by then. Yeah. And it's never as good as it would have been. And I always tell myself I should have just worked out this morning.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Every time. It's so funny that I always think that. And usually the next day I wake up extra early and I'm in the gym because I know it's going to be better. And even though I'm by myself, it's still going to be better if I get it done early on. And the rest of my day is 100% more productive.
Yeah.
Like anything else, I'm speaking from experience. I make better choices. I'm more productive. My energy is higher. I know people think sometimes the workouts drain you and you're really tired. And it does, but it's just that consistent turnover of never having to start over, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always kind of in it, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole point of fitness isn't to get in such good shape that you never have to work out again. The point is to stay in shape.
Yes. Oh my God. There's no end.
Yeah, there really is. You can't win at fitness. It's like you always do it. Just like you can't win at marriage. The whole point is to stay married. You can't win. You can't win in business either. The whole point is to stay in business.
Yes.
Or you can't win in your career. The whole point is to keep your job. It's going to require constant maintenance and everything. And I do find that I do tend to fall off more when I am by myself. I'm far less likely to fall off when I'm in a group or I have or it's preset and planned. Also, I'm way more productive because it's once I get going and I'm in a group setting, it's like, well, everyone else is doing it. Looks like I'm doing this, and then once I get going, I'm like, okay, thank God, because it's so much more condensed, and I'm in and then I'm out.
Yeah.
Done. Rather than it's really easy for me to string it out much longer than it has to be.
Yeah. Whenever I try to do my own workout instead of just doing what I've already wrote for class. It usually takes me 10 times longer, and it's never as good. And I like taking class. This is why we're really proud of the programming that we produce, because we have good structure with it. It's going to follow a consistent plan. You're going to see progress, and I do love looking at the leaderboard and seeing what other people are capable of. That keeps me motivated as well. I'm a competitive person, so, I like seeing other people's scores. And then even when I'm not super motivated to do the workout, that kind of alone keeps me accountable and at least okay, well, I at least have to get this.
Yeah.
And so I have a better workout in that sense.
Exactly. Just gives you a benchmark and gives you something to shoot for, and kind of allows you to at least have a constraint to it.
Yes.
Pretty much. And then I always find that when I work with constraints that I actually end up being more productive, even though because it's really easy to see that as an obstacle, but when you do it, it's okay, it pushes me to be better.
Yes.
And that's what we're here for.
100%.
Real quick, everybody, I know it's unrelated, but I want to give a quick shout out since this is our first podcast together since Wadapalooza. Man, we're so proud of Caitlin, Kim, Phil, and Kevin for everything they put into preparing for Wodapalooza, and they spent a ton of hours training leading up to the event. It was a great event, by the way. It was fantastic. They did a great job putting it on. So big shout out to Dylan and the team for putting that together. And Caitlin finished 14th in the RX female division, and Kim finished 19th in the same division as well. It was awesome watching them. Huge shout out to everyone who showed up, because we had a huge crew, especially on Saturday. It was awesome watching Kim and Caitlin take the heat in the final workout of that of Saturday, which was awesome.
That was super fun.
That was great. So much cheering. We got a big shout out. We got a collaboration with Wodapalooza themselves with the fist bump video, which was awesome. Phil came in 40th place in the intermediate male division. He had a great time. It was awesome watching him compete on the big stage, and Kevin as well, finishing 54th. It was awesome seeing them go out there and watching them compete with a ton of heart and dedication. And we really appreciate everyone who came out, because we had a big crew out there, and everyone else noticed. So it was awesome.
Yeah, can't wait for next year.
Can't wait for next year. Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up here?
No, just know that I think going forward, I hope to see everybody in on the weekends more, or at least, getting out there, hiking, doing something active, getting more steps in, and being productive this winter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for listening. If this was helpful, please leave us a 5-star review so we know to make more content just like this. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Red Wolf CrossFit, and shoot us a DM over there for some content suggestions. We're always looking for new topics to talk about. Until next time, good luck. Have fun.
Nailed it.